There is something very special about this cinema camera that I believe solves a lot of problems for filmmakers. But before I tell you guys what camera this is, here's what I shot with it. In my opinion, this is the best budget cinema camera on the market, and in this video, we're gonna break down the specs, show the sample footage, and I'll tell you guys why I decided to use this specific camera on my docuseries Law of the Goat. The camera that we're talking about today is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. Now, this camera is slammed with features. It has a Super 35 sensor, 13 stops of dynamic range, dual native ISO, of 400 and 3200. It has the ability to shoot 6K up to 60 frames per second. It outputs a raw codec that gives you complete control over your footage in post. It has the ability to supply phantom power to your microphone, and one of my favorite features is the built-in ND filters. And you get all of this for $2,500. Now, this camera's been around for a couple of years now, but in my opinion, this camera still produces some of the best image quality that I've seen in this price range in 2023. The color science in Blackmagic is absolutely incredible. The skin tones and the depth of color that you're able to achieve with this little beast of a camera, in my opinion, blows anything in this price range out of the water. The other thing that I love about Blackmagic cameras is the interface. It's extremely user-friendly and easy to learn. And just to give you guys an example, I had one of my team members that has never touched this camera before in their life use it on a fight night. In about 10 minutes, I taught him everything that he needed to know to be able to use this camera efficiently, and he captured beautiful image quality and was able to learn the camera like the back of his hand in just a few minutes. And that to me is extremely valuable, because if you're thinking about making a switch or you're thinking about upgrading your cinema camera and you're a little bit worried about the interface and how you're gonna feel going into a new camera, don't even worry about that, because it's super simple, super easy to learn. Now, this camera has the ability to shoot in ProRes and of course V-RAW, which is the raw codec for Blackmagic, and it allows you to change things like color temperature, ISO, and toggling the LUTs on and off. This camera can record several different media types like SD cards, CFast cards, and it has a USB-C, which allows you to record everything that you film on an external SSD, which is exactly what I do. So one huge improvement that they added on this camera that they didn't have on the last Pocket 6K camera was they gave you the ability to add this battery grip. Now, this battery grip allows you to put 2 batteries inside the actual grip itself, but then it allows you to put an additional battery inside the camera, giving you 3 batteries at once, which I've noticed that it was a huge step up and a huge improvement from the original batteries that you had to put into the Pocket 6K. That battery would die in about 20-25 minutes. I mean, depending on the settings that you had, maybe you could squeeze 30-35 minutes out of it, but those batteries were terrible. In this particular camera, being able to have the battery grip, I've noticed that I'm able to go for like close to 2, maybe even 2.5 hours of running all 3 of these batteries before I have to charge anything or change anything. Definitely, if you're getting the 6K Pro, get it with the battery grip. Now, which brings me to my next point, and that is talking about the overall body and the size of the camera. You know, a normal DSLR is pretty small and pretty tiny, and you could probably get away with just doing like a really tiny, small handheld rig. And with the original 6K, it was hard to get away with that because you didn't have that battery grip. You had to add the V-mount, which means that you had to have a cage and you had to have, you know, the bars or whatever it was to like add all of these things to your camera. But I feel like finally with this battery grip, this camera could be like a nice running gun camera. Yes, it is a little bit on the heavier side, it is a little bit on the bigger side, but I'm used to rocking my Ursa 12K camera, and to be honest with you guys, like using that for 3 years now and then using like the 6K Pro, it feels super lightweight and I feel like it's an amazing running gun camera. I think also the weight and the grip of the battery and the way just the handle on the side of the camera, the way it just kind of feels in your hands just feels really natural and intuitive, especially when like I'm just trying to like do some running gun shooting. It feels comfortable in your hands. Another improvement that they made that was incredible was they finally allowed you to move the screen on the back of the camera. The screen on the original 6K was pretty big, but I noticed on the 6K Pro, it felt just a little bit bigger, and then on top of it, you could detach it and move it up and down and adjust the screen, which is huge, because before I would suggest like you definitely needed a camera monitor to mount on top of this camera. You could definitely get away with just having this and not really having a monitor. So that's what I love about Blackmagic. They take their products and they listen to their users and they say, okay, what could we have done better? Having an adjustable screen definitely would have made this camera better. Boom, they added it. We have an issue with power and it not really being a run and gun camera. Boom, they fixed it with the battery grip. So to me, this camera really is a new and improved version of the original 6K, and I absolutely love everything that they added to this camera. Now, with all of that being said and all of the amazing things about this camera, there are a few cons, and there always is when we're talking about cameras. There's always something that is not perfect about the camera, and the one thing that I would say about this camera that's not perfect is when you go into the higher compression rates of like 8.1 and 12.1, I did notice some artifacting, and I also did start to notice the compression. So my suggestion is, if you guys are shooting something, maybe like interviews, you can get away with shooting like 8.1, but if you know that you're gonna compress the footage and you know that you're gonna put it on like a platform like YouTube, I could tell a significant drop in quality from 12.1 to 3.1. And then the other thing that I noticed is that, you know, this is a rolling shutter camera, so every now and then you will get a little bit of artifacting, and it's not a huge deal, and I've noticed it happen a couple of times and I was able to edit around it no problem. So my suggestion to you guys is that if you are shooting something like I shoot, which is like fights or like any kind of action sports, I suggest using the lowest compression rate of 3.1, because there's gonna be so much movement and so many things going on. You need to capture as much information into that camera as possible. And then if you are shooting things like interviews, maybe you can get away with going up to like 8.1. The benefit of shooting 8.1 is that you get much smaller file size than you would to shoot 3.1, and instead of having like 90 minutes on a 2 terabyte card, you probably got something closer to like 2.5 hours or maybe like 3 hours or something. So that's super useful and super beneficial in a lot of different scenarios. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, this camera comes with dual native ISO of 400 and 3200. At 400 ISO, I noticed that the image quality that you get is extremely clean. It's really nice. You have like almost no noise in it at all, even if you're in really dark situations. However, when you go up to 3200 ISO, there's a little bit of noise in the shadows. I could definitely tell with some of the images that I've taken, and this camera obviously likes a lot of light. But anything past 3200 ISO and you start introducing a lot of noise. So if you're a person that does a lot of run and gun shooting and you're in a lot of dark environments or environments that you need to really bump that ISO really high, then maybe this isn't the camera for you. You know, the FX3 is an awesome camera that has really good high ISO performance, but I will say that I have compared both of these cameras side by side, the FX3 and the Pocket 6K Pro, and in my opinion, the image quality that you get out of the 6K Pro beat the FX3 in almost every situation. I don't think that there's anything in this price range of like $2,500 to $3,000 that beats this camera. I personally just love the image quality, and I thought that the image quality was better than the FX3, which the FX3 is a $4,000 camera and this is a $2,500 camera, almost half the price. And if you're looking just for pure image quality, my suggestion is go with this camera. I wanted to let you guys know that we are producing a documentary filmmaking course for the last couple of years. This course is going to take you all the way from ideation to final edit and even pitching your documentary to major streaming platforms. And if you guys are interested in learning more about this course, sign up for our email list. I'll leave a link down below. Our plan is to release this by the end of the year. And if you guys sign up for the email list, we're going to offer exclusive discount codes to everyone who signed up for that email list before the course launches. And you guys will be notified as soon as the course comes out. So I'd like to thank you guys for stopping in, watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.